Hey, Christy Mattoon here from Rewire. As always, I'm super glad to be here with you. I love doing this kind of stuff. And I haven't done it enough since COVID started because I had my own life to deal with. But I always like to get on and just kind of remind you. And as I'm working with people privately, which I still do, things come up that I think is probably of interest to everybody. So I get on and talk about that a little bit. I also do have a weekly class running of live sessions, of live question and answer, help, whatever. We talk about all this kind of stuff and actually do practices in it. So heart coherence, brain coherence, I teach in it. I allow people to bring their problems to the table and we work on it. If that's something you're interested in, check out the link below. It's every Saturday morning at 9 o'clock. And for the full month, it's usually 4 sessions during the course of the month, is only $50. So it's a subscription type thing. You just sign up, you can cancel at any time. So be aware of that. If it's something you're interested in, if you want to just check out what I'm doing, sign up for a month and pop into those classes. And you'll get a good idea of how I work too. You'll get a good idea of how I teach. So what I want to talk about today is something that came up with a person that I know and she's very dear to my heart actually. I've worked with her for a long time, off and on through many different things. And when this popped up, this issue that she's having, I found it interesting because she knows heart coherence. And I'm not saying it's a good thing or a bad thing, it's just a thing. And it's the progress that we go through. It's the progress you have to go through. As you're sorting this out and figuring it all out, you become more and more aware as you go along. And when something pops up and you have to go handle it, you have to go handle it. What I have found out, this is what I want to talk about for a second, is that in heart coherence, you have to understand things change. If you stick with it, if you stay in it, it has no other choice. You have to change as a person. Your body changes, your mind changes, your emotions change. It has to. There's no other way that this can work because you're raising your level of vibration, you're raising your emotional intelligence, right? You're getting into these higher ranges of love, compassion, peace, satisfaction, understanding, all of these kind of things, heart-centered emotions, okay? And as you're doing that, as you're coming into this higher range of emotion, the negative stuff washes out of your body. It is how you neutralize a negative emotion. Look up the definition for neutralize. I've talked about this before. It just cracks me up. And we go through all of these lengthy, crazy protocols and ideas and muscle test this and do this to that. And I don't even know. It's just nuts to me. When literally the higher level of emotion, when you stay in it for an extended period of time, and I'm talking about maybe 38 minutes a day, because of the way I teach this, you're doing it every hour. You're not doing it for like a 2-hour period where you have to sit down and engage. You do it for like 3 minutes every hour on a very basic functional level. If you were only doing breath work for 3 minutes every hour, and you're awake for, let's say, a 12-hour period of the day, for 12 hours times 3 is 36 minutes. If you did that and got really focused when you were doing your breath work, the benefits would be amazing. And I've heard of people healing things. They've talked to me about, oh my gosh, this changed my life, just doing the breath work. And we know from past gurus and masters, and Wim Hof is actually a super good example in our period of time. Just breath work alone changes everything. Now, if you add heart coherence, even if you added just a level of brain coherence, you would get an even bigger disruption faster, a bigger change faster. In heart coherence, your focus matters. What are you focusing on that's causing your disruption? What are you focusing on that's causing your pain? What are you focusing on that's causing your level of distress? Because I guarantee you, you're focusing on something that's not heart coherent, meaning it's not an attribute of your spirit, inside your heart, right in here. It's not It's not an attribute. It's not an attitude of your spirit. And the attitude, the attributes, whatever you want to call it, that level of focus takes you into those higher level emotions, which are the higher vibrational places that we're all seeking. It is what causes change in the system. So think about this for a second. If something happens in your life and it disrupts you, it involves your flow, and it throws you sideways, you have a choice. What do you choose to focus on? What do you choose to focus on? Because you could focus on the event, you could focus on a person in the event, you could focus on an emotion you got from the event, you could focus on all kinds of stuff about the event, or you could choose to stay heart coherent and just be aware of the event. You could be heart coherent and just pay attention to the event and just notice what happens in heart coherence, how it changes the level of whatever the event is. Even if it's from your past, even if you believe in past lives, it's from a past life. Even if it's something from another dimension, how is it affecting you right here, right now matters. And that involves your focus. Where are you focusing yourself? Where are you focusing yourself? And even while the thing is going on, I can stay heart coherent. I can stay in the attributes of spirit. All right. And it takes practice, excuse me. It takes practice. I have a cough drop in my mouth. And it's actually not a cough drop. It's a thieves drop from Young Living. Delicious. Tastes like clove. All right. So does that make sense what I'm saying? Do you focus on the issue? Do you focus on the feeling that it gave you? Or do you get your focus back into your heart as fast as you can? And then become super aware of what you really are. You are not what this appears. You are not the things that this seems to be made of. You are that spirit part of you. You're that that piece of God, that piece of, right? This isn't what it appears. So you have to remember that your level of feeling, I was writing this in an email just now, your level of feeling is either based on your brain and past events, or it's based in your heart in the now moment. So think about this for a second. If I'm going into my past and digging through my past, or something's coming up subconsciously and bubbling up into my consciousness, and I become aware of it, and it's from my past, I have a choice in that moment. If it's from my past, it's back here. It actually doesn't exist. It's a concept that's hard to grasp, but once you get it, it makes everything so much easier. In the now moment, right here, right now, all you can do is satisfaction. All you can do is whatever's going on right now. If you choose to bring something from your past into the face of your life right in front of you, you're in the now moment with your past. And you're creating your past in the present moment as if it's happening right now. Even though it doesn't have to be, because you could choose. This is one of the attributes of a human. One of the most amazing things about the human technology is we have the ability to choose an emotion whenever we want. Good, bad, indifferent. You choose whatever you want, whenever you want. But you have to become aware that you can do that. Once you know you can do it, and you have to learn how to do it if you don't know how to do it, which was my case. And once you do, everything can change. Everything can change. But if you choose to focus into your past and say, okay, this is bugging me, I have to handle it, then go handle it. Go handle it. And as soon as you feel like you're getting it handled, keep checking back into your heart space, because it will make a difference. It will help you handle whatever you're handling. If you choose to stay in those higher ranges of emotion, it is how neutralizing an emotion works on the simplest level. No muscle testing, no protocols, no whatever you call it, maybe a facilitator, none of that involved. Once you know how to do it, once you know how it works, it is how it works. And if you look up the definition of neutralize and you truly understand it, if you have ears to hear it, it will probably blow your mind, because it's as simple as that definition. All right. And I'm not going to read it to you right now because I didn't pull it up and I'm already past 10 minutes. So I'm going to keep going. So if you choose to be in your past and go for the struggle, go for it hardcore. Knock it out this time. That's what I'm saying. We are in an interesting period of time where everything is changing so rapidly and so many people are talking about this. You keep hearing me say it. Every day it's just something different. It's something new. This actually gets easier every day. And probably because I practice it every day, and I don't just practice it every day, I practice it every step I take. I'm checking in. Every time I move or I do something, I become more aware of who I am internally. I become more aware of that spirit self. I allow those emotions more and more and more. And the more you do that, the more you're in your heart space, the more you become that spirit part of you, right? It's peace isn't something I go do, it's something I am. Love isn't something I go do, it's something I am. Does it make sense? Everything you can think that's an attribute of the spirit is something you are internally, eternally. That part of you is. It's not something it goes and does. Does it make sense? The longer you stay in your heart, the easier this will get, and everything that you come up against will start to change. Let me give you some for instances. For instance, if I go into my past and I dig around, and I have done this a number of times until I figured out, wow, I don't really have to do this anymore, I get very upset. I get depressed, I get anxious, I get very, very sad. I've had people for years trying to remove my sadness. And if I go digging through my past, that's what I turn into, because that's what my past was, right? It's gone, it's done, because I stay in the present moment. If I choose to go dig through it and bring it into my present moment, now that's what I've become again. Does it make sense? Or I can stay in my heart, stay in the attributes of spirit, get everything lined up into a different place and become that part of me instead of what I thought was what was my past. Probabilities change, possibilities change when you stay in these higher vibrations. You don't see things the same way from a higher vibration, right? From a state of love or compassion, even peace, that you would from a state of fear or anger or upset or sadness or whatever. You can't see it the same, because in love, that situation looks different. In compassion, that situation looks different. Does it make sense? Here's another for instance. Let's take, this really happened to me at one point a number of years ago. I walked my computer that had blue screen, totally lost everything on the computer, walked it into a Staples to talk to a tech, and he told me, this is like, it's done. You need to just buy a new computer. And I had actually worked with this guy a few times, and he got on to me because he knew it was about to happen. And sure enough, there goes. And I was just like, please try and do something to fix it, like one more time. He'd already done this before for me. And he's just shaking his head, and I'm getting all pissy and angry. And all of a sudden, from the bottom of my feet comes this feeling. Just came up through me. And it reminded me who I was. And all of a sudden, I just stopped, and my heart opened. And I looked at this guy, and I said, I think I need to go take a walk. And he goes, good idea. I said, I'm going to get you a cup of coffee. What would you like? I'm going to go get me one. He told me. I took off. He goes, don't come back for a while. I was like, okay, whatever. Like, it's fine. So I left. I go get the coffee. I come back. It's maybe about an hour. And I stand in front of him, and he just looked at me, and he goes, you are the strangest person I've ever met. He goes, and this is always just so interesting. He opens my computer, and it's fully on. The heightened energy, the level of emotion, the compassion I threw out over him, over myself, right? As I walked out that door, I was blessing and releasing everything that was on my computer, just getting totally okay with it, like let it go. Books that I was working on, writing, all kinds of stuff. And all of a sudden, it's just there. And then he made me go buy one of the discs that you can download stuff onto separately. So long story short, the high level of emotion, if I had stayed angry, do you think that computer would have come back on? My guess is no. My guess is no. Another for instance, let's say my brother calls me and tells me my mom's in the hospital, and I've already got my dad here living with me and all the stuff that's going on with her, and this actually just really happened. All I can do is get compassionate for him, for her, for the situation. I can't get upset about it. What would happen if I got upset about it? Who would it affect? Me. I'm not doing it. So I stay in compassion and I go through my day. And guess what happens? Everything turns out all right, even if something over there is terribly wrong. Even if, let's say she passes away, even if, right? Even if I stay in a level of peace and it changes the vibration around me and I can handle situations differently. This happened with my little brother when he did pass away. When he died, he killed himself. I've told this story a number of times. And because I had been practicing heart coherence, instead of going into anger and frustration and confusion and sadness and asking all the questions that everybody else was asking, I went straight into like compassion and love. I was just like, what'd you do? And I asked him that, and he showed up and answered the question. And he actually told me, never mind, but he did tell me, forget everything you think you know, it's all wrong. Forget everything you think you believe, it's all wrong. Can you believe it? In front of my face. He had just killed himself the day before. And he showed up. Why could I see him? Because my vibration was different. My internal eyes are open. My internal ears are open. Because I'm in that higher level of vibration. Because I practiced it every day. I practice staying in it. I practice being in it. I catch myself when I'm not, and I bring myself back to it. I truly believe that's how this works. Now, I was talking to another person about the Merkaba, and they were saying, what does that have to do with this? Because I haven't gone into that too much, although I do practice some, and Merkaba, however you say it, I do practice some of that stuff. And it's interesting to me, what I have found out is that one produces the other. It's like heart coherence produces brain coherence. Right? We sit down and we try and spin the Merkaba around us, and we're looking for Archangel Metatron's cube, right? Metatron's cube, this high energy cube. We're all looking for it, trying to get our hands on it. And guess where it is? It's inside you with your spirit. It's so interesting to me. And we sit there doing this practice of spinning these, I can't say the word, tetrahedrons, is that the name? The triangles that are all set together and stacked on top of each other. We spin them opposite directions, male and female, and all of these things. When you're in heart coherence long enough and you stay in this level of vibration, do you know what happens automatically? That just happens because it's all part of the system. It's not separate. It's part of the same thing. And in touch with your internal spirit, with your internal eternal part of you, your higher being, whatever you want to call it, that just happens naturally. It's interesting. When I was working with a gentleman and he asked me, well, what do you see when you see it spinning? Because they say one way, the other way. I don't see the separate parts of it the way people see it or the way it's been taught so many times. I see it as the whole three-dimensional 6-star, right? I had one on my necklace, but it's gone. It's behind me probably, right? So this is the flat version of it. The Star of David kind of idea. And then when you turn that into a three-dimensional thing, I see those, the full thing, spinning opposite directions. And then I also see them rotating. And it almost looks like one of those thorny head stickers. It has points all over it. When I am really inside of it and I get it going, it's that just flashing everywhere. And it's just like brilliant light. And I don't know what all that means because I haven't studied it enough. But that's what I see. In heart coherence, I didn't do anything to cause that. It was just there. Does that make sense? If I pair it back to something I've studied, I'm sitting there trying to spin each one of them separately and make them, right, do the revolutions that they tell you to make them do. All right, I hope this was helpful. That was a lot of stuff at one time. To neutralize the past is as much as being, or to neutralize anything that's negative around you in your life, your past, your emotions, your beliefs, whatever it is. It's as much as being in a higher level state of being, right? It can be for a period of time. Sometimes it's quick, depends on how much you get into it and how much juice you put behind it. It's juice you produce. It's juice you produce. Hey, that's good. All right. Does it make sense? I hope this helped. I'm going to jump off. We're almost at 20 minutes. I apologize for the length of time. Please subscribe, like, share. If this helped you, it's going to help somebody else. So share it if you can. I bless you. Thank you so much.